guys, it's Amelia. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're gonna do some DIYs to help upgrade my lighting situation. So in my apartment I have no overhead lights, and to compensate for that I've got a lot of lamps, and that has helped so much, and my apartment is way lighter than it used to be. But the lamps that I have aren't as cute as, you know, we were going for. So the lamp that is next to my couch is one of those table lamp conglomerations that I actually found in my parents' attic, and I really love it. It kind of, I don't know why, but it just gives me Friends vibes of just like eclectic apartment vibes, and I really think that's adorable. The lampshade, it's not cute. It's just yellowy and old, and that's fine, but I was kind of hoping to upgrade it. So we're gonna try to do that today. And then the fourth lamp situation that I have is a really cute little blue lamp that I bought at a secondhand store. And I just really loved, even though I'm not a blue person at all, I'm not drawn to the color blue normally, I just really love this lamp, and the color was so calming and really cute. So I'm gonna leave the base as it is, but the shade's pretty yellowed and kind of old and not super cute. So we're gonna use some DIY techniques to fix those lampshades up. So the first thing we're gonna tackle today are the lampshades. And I got some twine from Amazon, and I bought 2 of them, and it's a good thing I did because I can't remember how long they said the twine was, but also like wrapping it around lampshades, I feel like it's gonna go pretty fast. So I have 2 to wrap both of these lamps. So let's just get started and we'll see what happens. I feel like that's how I start all of my DIYs. I have no plan, let's see what happens. And then it's like 2 hours later, it's like, this is horrible. And then 2 hours later, I fixed it. That's just my process. So the first lampshade, the smaller one, was really just a huge experiment, and I tried a bunch of different things. And basically I started with gluing the twine at the base of the lamp, and then coming around to the outside, going down the top, and then out the bottom again, and then just continually doing that to wrap around the lampshade. This is going so well. It looks literally so good. So I quickly found out that because of the cone shape of the lamp, the strings were not continually running vertically. They would start to tilt on either side. So I had to come up with a pattern that was symmetrical for the middle, because I wanted it to not just overlap randomly. So what I decided to do was create this weaving pattern that goes back and forth. And because I was not really sure what I was doing on this small lamp, I'm going to show you on the bigger lamp because I explained it a lot better then. But it turned out really, really good, and I think it's way better than if the lampshade had just been vertical the whole time, and I think it made it a lot more interesting than just the twine wrapping up and down. It's done! So here's the woven side, and then the plain side. When a DIY actually works, I'm just so amazed. So the first lampshade turned out so good. I am so excited to start on this bigger one, but also I'm kind of worried that I won't have enough twine. I have wrapped half of the lampshade. So I decided to start on opposite sides, going straight up and down. Since the lamp is divided up into 4 corners, I split in between 2 of the fourths to go up and down. Then I started working, and it would slowly become slanted because of the shape of the lampshade. So I managed to finish this side. So basically, you can see I started straight up and down. It's slanted this way and then slanted this way. That's going to be the same for this side. So this one's already slanting. So basically, I'm going to go to Walmart tomorrow. I'm going to brave the outdoors to get more twine. But what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to meet in the middle here. I'm going to stop so they're both touching the same one. And then I'm going to start from the bottom and wrap up. So it's like overlapping on both sides till it comes around. So that is the current plan. And we'll see how it goes when I get more twine tomorrow from Walmart. I just went to Walmart and I bought this twine. And there were 2 of them at the store, so I bought 2 of them. And it's not the exact same size as the old twine, but I think it's close enough that we are gonna we're gonna make it work, because I don't have any more of this twine and Amazon is out. So this is all and I didn't want to, this was $3. The twine from Amazon was $10. So honestly, we just should have done this all along. So like, lesson learned, go to Walmart before you go to Amazon. unless you're living in a epidemic where you can't leave your home, then shop on Amazon. Right, Emily? That's right. That's right. So I have done the first 2 steps of wrapping the lampshade, and as you can see, obviously the 2 different types of twine look different, but it actually does not look this different in person. The camera's picking up the color difference way more, so it's not really bothering me, and I think it might add to the texture. So with the last lampshade I did, I created like a V pattern, and I wanted to do the same thing with this one. Okay, so to create the V shape in the front, what I've done is I divided the lampshade in the 4 quarters that this middle piece divides it into, and I decided to start in the middle of one of those pieces. So, as I showed you earlier, I went straight down this side and then it started curving this way, and the same with the other side. So now I've done both of those sides, and I just have these 2 open triangle shapes on each side. So, to cover those up and make it a cool pattern, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue a starting piece on the bottom on the right side. So we're starting on the right side. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna just go over and then through, get it, but instead of going back to the side that we started with, we're gonna go to the other side, the left side. Go over, through the lamp, come through, back to the right side, making sure that everything's lining up and laying correctly. Go back to the left side, and we're basically just gonna repeat this pattern until this is entirely covered. So it is going to overlap quite a bit on each side, but it gives you a really cool pattern. I'll come back whenever I've done more so you can see more of the actual pattern. Okay, I'm a couple rows in, and as you can see, it's making this really awesome woven triangle design, and it looks so cool because it's all interweaving. And I just think this just takes it to the next level, and honestly, I really like this big twine too, because the little twine was really nice, but this, you can see the weave a lot easier than with the small one. And I'm just so pumped about this. So if any of y'all have the chance to try out this lampshade DIY, I would love to see if you guys come up with any other different patterns other than this one. This is just the one I came up with, and I kind of wanted the lampshades to match, so I'm gonna do them the same. So we're gonna do this all the way down, and I'll show you that. And then we have the fun task of doing the same thing over here. Okay, so next time you see it, it will be mostly done. The lamp is done, and it looks so good. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Of course, I started running out of twine at the end, so this point only made it to here, and I had to fill this up with some scraps, whereas this side goes all the way down, and I think this is going to be the front of the lamp. But just in case I have to use either side, they both look beautiful, and I'm just so happy with how this turned out. And the last DIY that we're going to do today is a DIY macrame pendant light. I am so excited for this. I've been obsessed with macrame recently. I've been wanting to make a pendant light, but the pictures that I found online, they're kind of intimidating, and I'm kind of nervous. I will film the whole thing as a tutorial so that if you want to recreate it, you can. So for the base for my pendant light, I have this wire hanger that I bent into a circle. I think it would be perfect to use for my pendant light. It's a really good size. I was looking at like craft rings on Amazon, but they were like $17, and the whole point of doing DIYs is to save money. So we're gonna use what we have and try not to buy any extra supplies. So for this process, there are a lot of things I need to do. I need to figure out the distance to where I want the actual pendant light to hang, and I need to multiply that by 2 so I can cut a macrame string and loop it around so that it can hang up. And I'm gonna cut 3 of those to create like a tri-hold on the hoop. I was watching some different ideas on YouTube, and this one girl cut each of her strings 6 feet, so it was 3 feet once it was doubled in half. And I was like, that's great, but do I have that much macrame? And we're not buying any more. So we're gonna have to figure out measurements and what we need. So I'll be putting everything on the screen so that you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, let's just get started with step 1. So the first thing that we need to do is do the lark's head knot all the way around the ring. So I've done all of them except for one, and I'm gonna use it to show you how to do the lark's head knot. Just in case you don't know, you take your string, mine is 4 feet long, and you loop it so that it's exactly in half. You're gonna put the loop over top of whatever you're starting your macrame on, and then you take this loop, you go under, grab the 2 strings, you pull them through the loop. Then you pull it tight, and that's your lark's head knot. It was a bit of trial and error to figure out exactly how many lark's head knots I wanted in between each of the holding strands, but in the end, for my design, I needed 36 in between one and then 37 in between the other 2. So now that we've done the lark's head knot all the way around, we're going to do a square knot all the way around, which will look like this when it's finished. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so I realized when I was basically done with my macrame that I was doing the square knot completely backwards the entire time. You should make the knot on the left side before you make it on the right side, and this entire time I was doing it right then left. And I don't think it really matters because it's still a square knot and it still looks great, but if there are any macrame purists out there, don't get upset. I know I did it wrong, I did it backwards, but in the end, it's totally fine. Just be consistent. So you're gonna need 2 lark's heads. So I'm gonna pull out the 4 strings. I'm gonna make sure the lark's head knots are tight. Then what you do is you separate the right and the left strings from the 2 center strings. The first step is to take your right string and put it over top of the 2 middle strings and then hold it tight. So you're holding it. Then you take your left string and you put it over top of the string that you're holding, but then under the 2 strings in the middle, and then finally through the loop that you just made. So it will now look like this, and you're gonna pull that up to the top, pull it nice and tight, keeping everything in line. Then you're gonna do that same thing again, but the opposite. So we're gonna start with the left string going over the 2 middle strings. Right string goes on top of the left string, under the 2 middle strings, and through the loop that the left string created. So it's gonna look like this. And you're gonna pull that up, and then your finished knot will look like this. And we're just gonna do that all the way around for 1 layer. Now that we have gone around the entire thing 1 time with the square knot, we're gonna do it again, but this time I'm gonna take the strings from 2 separate square knots, 2 from each, and join them together. So this way it'll become a woven pattern all the way around. And now we're just gonna continue doing this all the way around the hoop. So the next step after we've done 2 rows of the square knots is that we're going to make this gorgeous triangle pattern, and we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 of these triangle patterns, and it's gonna look so cool. So this is the finished one, and I think it looks amazing. I'm really happy with it. So I'm gonna show you guys how I did it. I separated the whole thing into groups of 5 4-string groupings. So overall there should be 20 strings. So the knots are gonna be formed with 2 that don't really attach, and then the ones next to them, so that it'll create the interweaving pattern and make that little eyelid right there. So how we're gonna do this is we're gonna create 5 square knots across, then drop off 2 strings here, 2 strings here, 4, drop off 2 strings, drop off 2 strings, 3, continue that 2 and then 1 so that we get this really beautiful triangle pattern with all the strings hanging down on the side. So the first thing that we're gonna do is just come over here. So you can see that these 2 strings aren't really attached, and then I have the ones next to them. So we're gonna execute the square knot. Okay, so we now have our 5 square knots that are across. We're gonna come to the end here. So these were the 4 strings that we used to create the first knot. We're gonna take the 2 on the far left side, and we're just gonna put them back here. We don't need them. Then we're gonna take the next 4. So you see the 2 that aren't attached to create the little eyelet, and then 2 on either side of that. And we're gonna create the next square knot. Okay, now we have 4. And then you just repeat that until you have only 1 knot left and you've created the triangle shape. So my idea for the next part of the chandelier is I would really like to have a clear border outlining the V's. I was thinking I could do the double half hitch knot from the right going down the right side and the double half hitch knot from the left coming down the left side. So we're just gonna try that and see how it works out. So my plan for the next step is to do a row of the square knots all the way around and then have these triangles again, but underneath of where the triangles intersected. I think I finally decided that I like this. I've only done one of them, but that's gonna be the next row. I'm gonna show you how I got to this. Okay, so we'll start on this one. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna create 3 square knots at the base of one of our triangles. So one with these 4, one with these 4, and then one with these 4. Okay, now that we have those 3 square knots, now we're going to attach them with 2 square knots using these 4 and then these 4. Now that we have these 2 square knots, we're going to do one final one, connecting those with these 4 strings. So now we have this little point coming off of the original triangle. Now you're going to need to do that to all of the surrounding points. So once you've completed doing all of these, then we're gonna move on to this step of creating this triangle inside here. So we're gonna do 3 square knots across here. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take 2 from the left extra point to here, the 4 from the middle, and then these 4. So then you're gonna do 3 square knots across. The trick is you're gonna do them straight across instead of going up and tight. After you have those 3 knots, then what we're gonna do is we're going to attach those, just like we were earlier, with 2 square knots using these 4 and then these 4. Okay, the last step for this part is just one final square knot at the bottom to create the triangle. Okay, so now we have our triangle. Now we just need to do the double half hitch knot around as the border. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the string as your holding string from the triangle next to it. So the triangle underneath the original point, take the farthest string, and that's gonna be your holding string. And then you can begin doing the double half hitch until you get to the bottom, and then you're gonna come over to the other side, take the farthest string from this little point underneath of the original triangle as your holding string, and do double half hitch from the left. Then once you get them both done, you're just gonna take the 2 strings and you're gonna tie a double knot. And then that point is done. Now just like 20 more to go. Now that we have finished our second row of little triangles, I think it looks so good. It really looks like a flower, and honestly, I think I have a few too many stitches for it to lay straight, so it's kind of like puffed out, but it's kind of cool. It gives it a lot of texture, and I honestly think it looks amazing. So the next step is to figure out how I want the tassels to hang. So I'm taking 2 strings from each of the square knots that I made earlier, and then we're just doing another square knot, trying to center it underneath the point of this, which is a little tricky. So how we're going to create these giant tassels in between the square knots is like this. So we're going to take all of the pieces, making sure we're not leaving any behind. I'm gonna find the longest one because they're all different sizes now. So this is the longest one. It doesn't matter where it comes from, but I wanna make sure that the knots stay toward the back. So this is kind of the same knot that you would use, well, it is the same knot that you would use for this spiral knot. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna bring it under, over, and then through. But then we're gonna position the through part towards the back. Over, under, and through. Making sure it's where we want it. And we're gonna do 3 of those knots. Pull it nice and tight. And that's how we're gonna get our tassel. And now we're just gonna do that to all the rest of them. So now that I finished the tassels, I think I wanna make the square knots hang a little bit lower so they're in the negative space. Like this one looks really good down here, but this one's a little bit high, so I'm just gonna loosen them a little bit more in that space beneath the point. Well, all that's left to do is to brush out the tassels and cut everything to the right length and hang it up. So I'm deciding to cut all my tassels at about 4 inches each. When in doubt, cut farther down than you thought so that you're not cutting off more. You can always cut off more, you can't add it back. Thank you guys so much for watching my lamp lighting upgrade DIY, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, feel free to give the video a like and subscribe for more DIY videos.